wanted to get some content because I think that what you're doing right now is pretty cool with the whole God thing. And it's something that I just want to pick your brain on. Because right now, a lot of my boys are like kind of in the in-between stage of like the partying stage, like we kind of talked about over there. Mm-hmm. And also like, oh, like I know that there's something more in life. So I had just a quick question of like, if you could share, how are you raised and like what kind of, you said you have a leg tattoo of the same brand.
Yeah,
right?
I've had that since I was like 17, I think.
17?
Yeah.
So how did that come up?
So that actually, the leg tattoo and the company name came from what I was telling you about, as when COVID hit and I got on social media and I started posting on TikTok, and you know, it's the views were going up and I got my first paycheck. So I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. Well, school comes back into session and, you know, we're all in our mask. And I remember I went to sit down at a lunch table one time, like all of my boys got up and left. Okay. And I was like, okay, I thought this is only something you see in the movies or something. Yeah. But no, I got made fun of for it. And then what really killed me was my younger siblings were starting to get made fun of for like the stuff that I was doing. And I was like, it doesn't make any sense. Like even my football coaches would like make comments to me. Yeah. And
really?
Finally I got fed up with him. And I looked at my offensive coordinator and I was like, hey, I make this much money per week. And he was like,
no way.
Yeah. And so, I mean, and then, but what the toll that I was taking on my younger siblings, it was just heartbreaking to me because they were so much younger at the time. And so I was like, what I'm doing in Alabama, it's different, you know. Yeah. In Alabama, you're born and raised, you go to high school, you go to college, you come home, you get a blue collar job and get your hands dirty. Well, you know, like I said, I wasn't even going to post, but I was stuck at home. I didn't have anything else to do. So I was like, all right, if I'm going to get hate and my younger siblings are going to get hate, we're going to make some money off of this.
Yeah.
And so at first it wasn't a Christian brand. It was just like marketing, like, you know, you don't have to do what everybody else is doing. It's okay to be different.
Yeah,
like, you know.
It's like entrepreneur vibe.
Yeah, like the Dr. Seuss, even when, you know, growing up, his wife it in when you were born to stand out. And so I was like, let's make some money off of this. So I got the tattoo. And I was like, I want to make some clothes out of this. Well, it took me 3.5, 4 years to finally like actually get my first sample because I had no idea what I was doing. Yeah. And I had some detours in between, you know, when I first got the tattoo and then to what it is now. And so at first we were suicide awareness.
Oh, really? That's how it started?
Suicide awareness, and I was scared to go. The reason why I didn't start off as a Christian clothing brand was because I was scared to be a hypocrite. Yeah. I was living that back and forth lifestyle. And if I was like, hey, you know, I got a Christian clothing brand, and then they saw the way that I was living outside of it, they would be like, all right, yeah, this is just such a fake brand. Yeah. But it was suicide awareness, and we didn't really get to go that deep into it. But I was going to do like a percentage of my profits were going to like suicide awareness charities. 988, which is like the suicide hotline, was on all of our pieces. And then we came to a crossroad, you know, that when I was launching, TikTok Shop became a thing. Oh, really? I was like, so in the middle of it? Like, you know, they're going to have stipulations and guidelines. I can't just use my platform that, you know, I've built to just promote something without it being on TikTok Shop. Well, to get on TikTok Shop, you have to be able to ship within 1 to 3 days. Yeah. And I was like, oh, man, so that means I needed capital. I needed money to go buy, like, you know, a bulk shipment to keep me up and running long enough to, you know, cycle it. Well, I needed X amount of money, and I couldn't find it. Mm-hmm. And I was in the process of stopping what I was currently making money from. And I was like, well, crap, you know. So I'm at a crossroad. I
don't mean to cut you, but, like, were you raised that way? Like, what kind of, like, promoted that separation between what everybody else was doing? Right? Because like follow the crowd is like what comes to mind. And you kind of obviously went the opposite way. Was that something that you were taught at a young age?
No, actually sports was my thing. Like I had offers to go play football. Did you? Baseball, I could have went further. But for those who know me, know that I had gotten into some trouble in high school, which always kept me away from getting to go to the next level. And come signing day, I actually held a signing day and had everyone over, but I literally ripped that piece of paper up and threw it in the garbage as soon as everyone left. Yeah.
Wait, like right in front of everybody?
No. Like I signed it, everyone left, like, oh, congratulations, and everyone left, and then
so you signed and then you just threw it away. Yeah. Okay.
But at that time, NIL wasn't a thing. Oh. So I was at a crossroad right there. I was like, okay, I'm making great money right now. I can try and do the grinding route to where, you know, I try and scale my way up in the sports and, you know, get on better teams and all that, but it was
because what age? You said you started it during COVID.
Yeah.
What age did you really like kind of blow up?
I actually was more trending when I first started than I've ever been on social media. I could literally post whatever.
What age though?
17.
Dang, dude. Yeah. So you
17.
Before you even graduated, you were still in school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually put my birthday as a year older so I could start making the money like immediately.
That's what's
and like I was telling you earlier, though, TikTok, after COVID, TikTok didn't really pay. So there was people, I kind of talked to you about this on the phone. A lot of us moved to like the Tampa area, and we were traveling around the world, spending our money, blowing it. And then it come down to it, like TikTok stopped paying.
Yeah.
And all of us were like, oh, crap, now what are we going to do? And that's just when I got into that little mode where, you know, I was out there doing all those things, but I was honestly absent. Like I was there, but I wasn't there. And it took me, it was towards the end of it, you know, I was partying 24/7. And about the last 4 to 5 months, I would really go home and just feel like I was doing something like it was
kind of like emptiness.
Yeah, it was an emptiness, but like I knew what I was doing was so wrong because of the way that I grew up and was raised. And so I was like, there's something missing. I know what I need to do, but I know it's going to be hard. I know it's going to suck.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I was praying like, you know, Lord, like show me the way. And when I was saying those prayers, I was just like, hey, show me the way, but
you don't really mean it.
Because I don't want to give away. I don't want to give up certain things in my life. Like I want you, Lord, but I also want to hang on to this at the same time. Like don't take me away.
Yeah.
But the Lord works in mysterious ways, and he got me to my lowest point. I was broke, could barely afford to get home. I moved out because I was constantly going out to the bars on Broadway in Nashville, and I got home and I started picking up the live stream again, starting to make some money, but I felt empty. I had spring break coming up in a week, like I was just telling you, and that's when I had my full-on encounter, and I was like, okay, you know, I've been doing it my way this whole time, and it hasn't worked, and that's finally when I was like, you know what, Lord, I hear you. I'm going to try it your way. And don't do this, but I gave the Lord a timeline. I was like, you know, I'm going to give you 2 weeks. Show me what you can do in 2 weeks. And
we all know what happens when that typically plays out, right?
Yeah, but within those 2 weeks, man,
you
know, I had nothing but felt like everything in my life was going the way that the Lord had it. So
that's awesome.
I was really nervous. I was really scared, and it is scary. You know, if I'm talking to somebody who's trying to get out of that lukewarm lifestyle, like it's going to be scary. It's going to be lonely. Right. You're going to lose a lot of people.
Well, that's what I kind of started this out. I was telling you a lot of my door-to-door guys have obviously experienced that same side. And when you come to that crossroad where you have to make a decision, it's really tempting to always kind of ride the fence, right? And even when you completely buy into that, it doesn't mean that like automatically you just get this strength to be like, you know what, I'm good. And I found that like a lot of good habits and a lot of like lifestyle changes have to occur before that real change occurs, which is like the 3 months, the 6 months. So what do you think the main difference is, you know, that kept you going, even though like you might not have saw like immediate, you know, I mean, even if you felt good in the moment, how did 6 months, you know, to a year you said you're coming up on 2 years now. How did that truly like transform you? I
mean, like to be completely transparent, like even a year in, like I was like, man, I'd really like to go out to the bars. Man, I'd really love to go get drunk. Like, and you know, it was that constant urge because I had done it for so long. But I started being really, really, what's the word? Like headstrong about who I surrounded myself with and the environments.
Yeah.
So like I was telling you earlier, you take the mutual sin out of the friendship. What did I have in common with those people? And I found myself realizing that I didn't really have anything in common with these people except the same mutual sin that we were enjoying together. And, you know, so I was like, you know what, I'm moving home. I'm not going to answer my phone. When all of these people start texting me and all this, I'm just going to go ghost. And, you know, a lot of people get upset about it, but if you're not okay, then you're never going to satisfy anybody else. And so all these people were texting my phone like, hey, are you coming to this? You coming to that? I didn't even respond. I didn't even give them a no. I didn't like.
You just kind of like out of the picture.
Spent time with the Lord praying like, okay, Lord, I have no idea what I'm doing. I know what I want to do. And so from there, I was just, you know, either at home, you know, just I was being lazy around the house playing video games, or I was at church. And if I wasn't meeting with a church-going group of people, then I wasn't going.
Okay.
I wouldn't even go to the beach with certain people just because I knew if I played into that, I was going to be pulled right back into it. Like I moved from Tampa and I moved from Nashville. If I would have went back to those groups and just been like, hey, like I just want to see you guys, I knew I would be tempted to drink, and I knew I'd fall right back into it. And I like to think I like to tell people it's like a repetitive cycle. Once you're in it, you don't realize how long that you're actually there. Yeah. So I went from like 18 years old to 20. I turned 21. I've never had a sip of alcohol since I turned 21. So like 17 to 20, I partied hard. And so it wasn't, now I can go up to anybody and, you can't tempt me to save your life. Like if you were like, hey, I'll give you over 6 figures to take one sip, I'd be like, no. Yeah. But back then I knew I wasn't strong enough to overcome the temptation. And so therefore I made sure that I was doing everything that I could to become strong enough to be able to look you in the face and be like, no.
And so that change occurred simply because of your environment. You associate a lot of that to like the group of friends you were around, like what you were doing in your off time when you were alone. Like you really had to change a lot of that in order for the change to occur within you.
Yeah, I mean, what you're not changing, you're choosing. And I live by that one. And
that's a great one.
I truly believe, like, okay, you wanna complain, like we'll use door to door. You're not making sales, we'll go knock on more doors.
100%, dude.
If all you're doing is losing your money and it's on alcohol and at the bars, stop going to the bars. Nothing's going to change until you're like, you know what, I'm going to change. Same thing with the gym. Yeah. You want to lose weight, it's never going to happen until you walk through the doors.
And I think on top of that, it's like if you actually, like let's use the gym for example. If you have no friends or no environment that supports going to the gym, how much harder is it in that initial week, 2 week, 3 months to stay consistent?
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I find that that's why, like, at least what I do and what it can offers is, like, creating that environment so that the willpower that you have to have, which anybody's capable of, right? But it's a lot more supported because everybody around you is chasing the same thing.
Yeah, so, I mean, even with my drinking and stuff, like I was telling you, I had all those people, like, waving bottles in my face, like, come on, drink. Yeah. But during the time where I was, hanging out with those certain people that I allow myself to, I had, I pulled a prank on my now wife. Yeah. I was on a boys trip in West Palm, and I made a video out of this, but we were all in the backyard, and she lived in Miami, so she would just drive over and hang out with us. Yeah. I put a Red Bull, like a regular Red Bull, into a glass cup. Okay. And I set my phone up. I was like, all right, guys, so you know what? Screw my sobriety. I'm about to see how fast I can chug this beer. No way. And all of that. And she comes sprinting around the corner, and all my boys were like, no, KB, absolutely not. And I sat there and I just started smiling because I was like, this actually feels pretty cool. Like I've got people in my corner who, to be honest, they still drank and they did all that, but they knew better than to let me fall into it. And they were about to sprint over there to make sure that I didn't do it. And so it just felt really good knowing that I had that support group. Even if they didn't necessarily agree with it, they were still there to be supportive and keep pushing me and made sure that I didn't fall.
I find that like in what you just described is a lot of like leadership. It takes somebody to step away from, again, the crowd or the direction that everybody's going. A lot of what I've found is that in door-to-door, people, they step out of like what everyone else is doing is in your work ethic and your goal setting and your habits. And it really does transform like your identity. We speak a lot at Can about like our identity, what we stand for, and a lot of what we stand for is unspoken. It's in your actions. Yeah. And so I guess my question to you is like with what your brand promotes, obviously, and how you've kind of came into this lifestyle, how have you felt like identity has shaped who you are? And now what is that doing for your following?
So as far as my identity, it like I had lost my identity. So now like I know who I am. I am who he calls me. Talking about the Lord, and there's nothing that you can say or do, go behind my back or do anything like that that'll ever make me lose my identity anymore. It gives me that confidence. It gives me, like let's say you were to come to me and you wanted me to be a part of your door-to-door and sell back in the day. Well, I wouldn't have been confident enough to go up to those people and look them in the face and close. Yeah. Now I know who I am. I know what I'm worth. Mm-hmm. I know that, I'm not just somebody that's just a waste of space. Yeah. I'm actually standing for something. I've got a purpose. I'm going to go and I'm going to close that. And the reason being is because I'm going to show them the type of person that I am and why you should work with me.
100%.
And so, so
I mean, like, sorry, I don't mean to cut you, but like, give me specifics because you obviously, your brand, it's pretty big. You guys do really well. What now, in terms of your going from point A to point B on that, that scale of like, confidence is really a key word here. what has that done in terms of helping build out a brand identity? Because we talk a lot about that, right? Like you obviously are trying to represent who you are, what you stand for. To anybody out there that might be like struggling with that concept, what kind of advice would you give them to then associate a strong brand, right? And maybe not even to like a business, but more to like themselves.
Like a personal brand?
Yeah, personal brand.
So, I mean, I have my DMs get flooded all the time with people just asking me questions about how to start a brand, a personal brand, and all the above. Well, first thing I tell them is you need to figure out who you are.
Okay.
Once you find out who
I love
you
that.
are.
That's great. I like that a lot.
And, you know, sometimes that takes time. Like, I used to actually post on my socials. I'd go out and eat by myself like once a week. Like, I'd go out to a restaurant and sit down by myself and eat just to have quiet time and figure out who I was.
Yeah.
And who the Lord was trying to make me become. And so I always tell them, once you find out who you are,
okay,
create something that ties to it, and you have to live it.
So
once you live it, you can document it. It's not going to be a facade or a fake, or if there's a camera rolling at all times and it's a live stream, you know, you're not going to be caught off guard, or it's truly who you are. So
I love that. Who says that? Like, hey, act as if somebody's filming your life, you know, 24/7. I can't remember who said that, but you know, have you heard that before?
No, I haven't. I know multiple people have said. I just don't know exactly which ones.
Who,
but
like, came
that's
up with that?
the goal when creating a personal brand.
Okay.
If you can have a camera rolling at all times on a live stream, because, you know, you can have a camera rolling, you can edit, but if you can't be on a live stream at all times and it doesn't correlate with your personal brand, then you're a scam.
I like that because it separates the people that just fake to be a certain person and the people that actually live it. Because in door to door, you find so much of that. Like, people on social media, they're always posting like all the good, right? But then when you actually get to know them, you get to know like their character. It's like you don't live what you preach, and so you lose all credibility. You know, and I'm sure you've probably experienced that, and we've all experienced it at times where like we hope to be somebody, but we're just not there yet. And so we can't actually become that person until like that true change, you know, occurs.
Yeah, and it's okay to not be that person yet.
Totally.
Just sit back, wait, be patient. Don't rush it or else you're going to lose it.
Yeah. You just have to, there's got to be consistency though, right?
Yeah, 100%.
You got to put effort towards that, or else it just would never like happen.
So it's first you have to assess, you know, okay, sit down. Like I was telling you, like it took me that last 4 months of my party cycle. I was going home and I was assessing like, okay, is this who I want to be? Is this who I want to, you know, potentially become? Do I need growth? Do I need to change some things? And you assess and then find out who you want to be, what you want to do in life, and then it's going to take time to transfer all of those things, you know. It took me a while to just stop cussing.
Yeah.
I never thought I was going to get to stop doing that.
And I struggle with that one. I hear that.
Over time, though, now it's like when I would slip up, I would be like, ooh, that tasted disgusting. Like,
because it hurt your identity.
Yeah. So I know if I'm on a live stream, I would never say it. So why would I say it behind closed doors? It was like, you know, if I heard
it's a hypocrite.
Some words that I hear that are cuss words, like for one, I don't stand for is GD. Like if you say it in front of me, I'm gonna respectfully be like, hey, like, do you mind like not saying that around me whatsoever?
That's awesome, dude. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So you have to assess, become, and then execute.
Okay.
So find out who you want to be, make something attached to it, and execute.
Yeah. I struggled back in 2021 with a lot of self-confidence. Even though I was actually the top performer at the company at the time, I really went home every night and I looked in the mirror and I was never necessarily satisfied. And I correlated a lot of that. It took me a long time to realize this. And I actually learned a lot from the CEO, Austin. He taught me this. But he said, the way you live and keep commitments with yourself is the only thing that will correlate to confidence. And as I self-assessed, like I was a big guy, like I'm about vision boards, right? Like I know this thing is always falling.
That one's like slowly slipping down.
Is it good though? Is it good right there? Cool. As I would always assess my leaderboard, my vision board, I would see that I would write out like, because I'm a holistic person. I like to grow in physical, my mental, my spiritual, my emotional, and my financial like health. I would write out like this huge column of things that I needed to do to quote unquote be successful. And I find a lot of young kids in like today's society kind of do the same thing, because what they see on like social media is like this morning routine that starts at 4 a.m. and it goes until 9 a.m. and they do like 50,000 things, right? And in that process, like they're quote unquote this masterful person and they're preaching, hey, if you want to be successful, if you want to make this money, you got to live like me. And what happens is like that guy that's looking at that like post, he's like, cool, I'm going to do that, right? But he doesn't have a foundation to build on. He doesn't have that self-confidence. So he starts and then he misses one thing. And then the second day he misses another thing. And then slowly but surely he stops being able to live that. And then all of his self-confidence goes out the door. And just like me, because I had this huge list of things that I was trying to become, and I was like, cool, I'm only successful if I do X, Y, and Z. The moment I didn't build a foundation, I didn't do those things, it actually did the opposite of help me. It actually hurt me. Yeah. You know, and I find like in today's society, like too often, we have this like huge social pressure to almost live up to this quote unquote like perfect routine-based culture. You know, and like,
so I mean,
what do you have to think about that?
I've been on social media. I've been in this industry for, I'd say like 5 years now. And I'll just be completely honest. I've been in the party groups. I've been in the Christian side of things. I've been in the business world. Yeah. 99.9% of the stuff that you see is all scripted. Oh, bro. It's all scripted. I can't, there's a lot of people that I could sit on here and just start naming off people who they say they make X amount on social media per month, and they don't. Yeah. They wake up at 4 a.m. They only did it for that video, and they went right back to sleep.
Yeah, dude. Isn't that crazy?
That's one big thing. So that's why, for me, I actually tried doing it. It's still up on my pages where I was going to go to the gym every single day, and I was going to film everything and do all that, and I was going to be this gym guru. Yeah. Well, that wasn't me. Yeah. You know, I go to the gym, but just to be honest, there'll be some days I'll go in there and I'll do a 20-minute workout. Yeah, or sure. I'll hit just, you know, like arms and then sprint out of the gym. Yeah. Skip leg day. Yeah. And in the videos, I couldn't skip leg day because they would know. Right. And what I found out trying to do stuff like that is it's exhausting.
Oh, dude, so exhausting.
Trying to be something that you're not is exhausting, and it's unfulfilling. And so that's why I say step number one is find out who you are. Yeah. And go off of that. You don't want to, like, what makes cash cash? Why would I follow you?
Totally. Yeah.
Why would I follow you versus him? What makes y'all different?
100%.
So I can't watch your videos and be like, I'm going to do the same thing because I'm going to be a cash part two. Right. Right. So find out who you are and what you want to do and build off of that. And, you know, the Bible tells us that the comparison is the thief of joy. Yep. If I go on there and be like, well, I want my life to look like that, or I need to make videos like this, or I need to be doing this, I'm never going to be happy no matter how good it's doing.
Yeah, dude. You know what I'm thinking about right now? So at Kin, our motto is become the one. Yeah. Right? And I find that the word become is actually like, you could dissect it in a couple different ways, right? A lot of people that come out and sell, they expect like, hey, the first day they go and knock to be a salesman, which is make money, right? Yeah. And this correlates to anything. Like, I want to be shredded with a six-pack. They go to the gym one time, they don't have a six-pack, they give up.
I'm working on that one right now.
I feel that, man. I shout out to my boy Bennett Luke. He's actually got me right on my I have a routine right now that he put together for me. He's like a life coach. He's dialed. But anyways, becoming is like something that I've tried to absorb as like as an adjective, as because if I fail to be that person that one day and I expect it to like happen overnight, I remove the need to continue to become. Right. And I think that like that's what's cool about at least Kin is like we always strive for relentlessness to be the best, but you have to build a foundation. It takes years to build that. And if you're like, hey, today, or you put that timeline, like you said, I got to become this by this time, it typically always falls short because you don't give yourself the grace almost to fail, get back up and keep trying. And I think that's what I love about your brand is like, you know, at least for me and my personal faith, I've always failed. I've always failed. But if I can like really think through and think of what my Savior's done for me, it's the second chance, the third chance, the fourth chance that I get to be or do, as in like restarting every single day to become that person that I hope to be 5, 10, 15, 20 years down the road, you know? Yeah. And I think that that's like kind of like a cool concept because if you're always striving just to be perfect and like live this social media life or post like everybody else posts or do exactly what Caden's doing, you're never necessarily going to be satisfied or have that self-confidence because all you're ever doing is basically comparing their 5-year journey to your day one journey. Yeah. You know, because like you said, you partied for 3 years. You had this like come to Jesus moment. And then from there is really where everything started lining up for you to really take off.
Yeah. Well, so even during that transition or whatever, like I basically had to like restart. I still had a couple of like supporters, that stuck with me. I was like, okay, let's see if because I actually got called out multiple times. Like I would post being like, hey, I'm about to make a huge change, like for the better, and then I'd go right back to it. And so I had lost a couple of people during that, and then the last time, the one that I stuck out, I posted. I was like, I'm about to make a change. Some things need to change my life. Yeah. I had a few people stick with me, and I had to like restart from there. Well, if I wasn't consistent, I would have never been able to build from there. And so, I definitely think consistency is so huge. And your best is going to look different than my best.
Yep, 100%.
So therefore, it's my job to wake up and be like, Caden or KB, whichever one works. When it's Caden's like family.
Oh yeah.
KB, I look at myself in the mirror like, KB, today's the day where you got to go out and do your best.
There you go.
Not my wife's best, not my mom's best, but my best. And whatever that looks like, that's what it's going to be. And if I fail, I always say a winner is a loser who tried one more time.
That's a great, there you go.
So, you look at the Amazon stories, the all of those stories, like
just like entrepreneurship and life in general is just a compilation of people that have failed, but they continued to keep trying until they broke through. And then all the social media, all like the, entertainment side, they only see the success. And it's funny because too often, like this, like building a brand, there's so much that goes into this on the back end that nobody sees, right?
No one understands neither.
When you're posting like, hey, like I've sold out all of my, clothes, everyone's like, oh my gosh, he's probably freaking crushing it. They're seeing the cars, they're seeing the lifestyle. They're like, man, I want what he has. But they don't understand what went on in the background. Yeah. And I found that like within what I've done, so I've been doing solar for 5 years, right? In my first, couple of years, I kind of succeeded quickly. But then I had to fall off. Like I told you, I came to my Jesus moment. But then I had to grind. It was a relentless grind. Oh, yeah. Nobody saw it until I actually ended up emerging back on top. And then from there, I had to be like, yo, guys, like, I'm not trying to fake this. Like, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Yeah. And I think too often people associate like success as like such a binary thing. They're thinking, hey, I'm going to start and I'm just going to coast upwards. When in reality, like all life is it's kind of like a roller coaster. Oh yeah. Just each time you learn the game, so you can kind of shrink the mountains and valleys to make it more consistent. How is that?
Without those mountains, though, you'd never appreciate, or without those valleys, you'd never appreciate the mountains.
100%.
So I mean, let's say
sorry, I mean to cut you. What does that actually mean to you? Because I want to dive into like failure and adversity. Why do you think that's so important? And how do you think that applies to like our generation?
I believe that you always have to remember where you come from. Okay. You can't pray for a blessing and then once you receive it, forget why you asked for it in the first place. Mm-hmm. So, we could look at that mountain and be like, wow, like, I'd love to be on top of there. But I got a tattoo on my body as well that says the journey is the reward. Mm-hmm. Without that journey, you'll never be appreciative. It'll slip through your fingers and you'll lose it the second that you gain it. And so, that's like if you just woke up one day and $1 million hit your bank.
Oh, bro, yeah.
You're going to go out there and you're going to blow it. Yeah. But if you spent your hard work and time on making that $1 million, you're going to spend it more frugal.
100%. Yeah, I really resonate with that.
Yeah, so, I mean, it was like the transition from, when mom and dad pay for everything to where you get your first bill, you're like, oh, it was fun spending mom and dad's money.
Yeah, life's
but when it's yours, you're like, I'm not going to get that $10 drink and fries. But when it was mom and dad's money, it was like, well, why not? Why can't we? But there's
that concept of like earned but not given. Yeah. Right. Like too often, so many people within, especially the industry that we're in, like. People, they basically think that because they've been doing this for so long that they're deserving of something immediately. Yeah. And what's really unique is like, at least from my perspective, the people that are great in life are all the ones that have been through it and earned it, right? Instead of just immediately getting like that sign-on bonus or that, hey, like you come work with me, I'll promote you immediately. Like people have to have a little bit of like like get out there, fall on your face a little bit, right? In order to appreciate like what the blessing is on the other side of that. And I just find like too many people like really don't understand that principle. Like we have a very egotistical culture. Oh yeah. Like I think like so many people like they think that because they had one good month or one good year that they are better than other people.
Or entitled.
And so entitled. And so they walk into a room and they're like, well, I've quote unquote done all these things, so I'm therefore better than you.
Yeah.
So I don't have to do what you do because I therefore am better than you. I just find that like that's the problem within a lot of the world, is that people are so like self-centered that they don't actually take the time to like look at people and treat them as another human, saying, hey, like you said, regardless of my timeline, whether I just started or if I'm on year 10 of this journey, I can still find ways to relate. And I think that's leadership, right? Like in leadership, I've been in the solar industry for 6 years. Let's say a brand new rookie comes out, right? If I look at that guy and think that I'm better than him, I've already done myself a disservice, because I can't actually, relate to that guy, coach him, teach him, really connect with him, because I'm too self-centered in like what I've done, quote unquote, right? And I just think that, the best leaders are the ones that actually like, they treat people with kindness. They treat them like they're the same person regardless of their current skill set.
Yeah, I want to go back and touch on the whole like failure to success, the journey and all that. Everybody that I've met that's been successful in life, and the mentors, everyone has a success story.
Yeah.
They had some type of trouble or turmoil that they went through in order to get to where they are now, and they just didn't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And what a lot of people, because I don't really share it that much, a lot of people don't understand is I actually went homeless.
Did you?
In my beginning of my journey. I was in Arizona, and I was a part of this bad management and all the above.
Yeah.
And the only way to get out of it was to get kicked out.
Okay.
And so I did whatever I could to get kicked out. I made it happen, but then I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
Now I don't have anywhere to go. I'm 28 hours away from my mom and dad. Like,
oh, dude.
And they can't know about this because they didn't want me going out here in the first place. And so my buddy was in Missouri at the time, and I was like, hey, do you mind if I borrow your car? I'm going to like go get a hotel. Well, pull up to a hotel. I didn't have enough money for a hotel.
Dude.
So I remember I was parked downtown Phoenix, Arizona, sleeping in my buddy's car. Mm-hmm. And it was a low point. I could have easily have said, you know what, I'm going to move home. I'm going to get a 9-to-5. I'm just going to do all that. But I got home. I reestablished myself. I surrounded myself with people who supported me, loved me, cared for me, pushed me to be the person that I always wanted to become, even if they didn't understand it. And without that, without those troubles and those no's and that failure, I would never be where I am now.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't also be as appreciative of 100%. Where I am now without something like that. So if you're falling on your face, I know a guy who always says it can happen overnight, but it might take 10 years to get to that night.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah,
so, I mean, it can happen for you. I mean, even if I don't ever want to, discredit 9-to-5s, because the jobs have to be done.
Of course, it still works.
But I believe, if you've got dreams and aspirations, chase them. Work your 9-to-5, fund your 5-to-9 until you're 5-to-9, fund your 9-to-5.
There you go.
And it's a constant battle. If you've got to live most of your life doing that, just know that you went down trying.
100%. You know what I actually thought about is the concept of burning your boat. You ever heard that story?
Yeah.
So literally, like, I tell this to all of the, my reps that come out, but like, if you want to be great in life, you can't have a plan B. Like, if you have a plan B,
plan A never works.
You're never going to allow that plan A to really become self-absorbed and like come to fruition, because you're too focused on your escape to like, if times get hard, you can resort to something else. And so like what I remember is in my search of like, hey, am I going to either fail or am I going to make it, was when I'd made my first $100,000. I crushed my first summer. And times got really rocky because a lot of my guys that I had recruited actually ended up leaving me. Right. And like I had spent so much time, right, really funding all of these guys. I built them up. I tried to believe in them. And like at this point, I was hoping that they would then kind of create this environment for me to step away, for me to like take on other responsibilities. Obviously, I'm not going to work less. It's just working on other responsibilities. But when that happened, I had to go back to the front line. And I had a choice to make. I was like, well, I can either just like take the easy way out, and I can go back to just selling myself, right? Because I know how to sell. I can go and close anybody. But like, that is so unfulfilling because it's not really my divine potential. And so I had to ask myself, hey, am I going to burn the boats and basically go all in into the guys that I have right now and build this thing back up? Or am I going to quit? And I think that those moments really define, like we were talking a lot about identity. It really gives us like that concrete foundation that we know that when those times now come again in the future, it's not a question. Like it's an easy response because we know who we are at our core, and we're like, oh, I've been through this. I've been down this road.
I've been there before.
And so this time around, it doesn't make it any less easier for say. Like the work still got to get done, but at that point you have that, like you said, that confidence that like you're going to get out on the other side of that.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
I mean, I've kind of explained to you a little bit, and I don't want to get too much into it, but like my back's been against the wall this past year. And I'll be honest, like some thoughts in my head were like, okay, I'm not going to be able to get out of this one. I've been able to escape all those other ones. I've gotten lucky and all the above. And I was face to face with doubt and fear. And I was like, I don't see a way out of this one.
Yeah.
My head was underwater. I was suffocating, but I was like, you know what? The Bible says, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Cast all your anxieties onto him. And I was like, all right, Lord, show me you are who you really are. And I'm seeing the fruits of it now, man. I'm in a season of gratitude to where I'm watching him just mend things for the good, and what the enemy meant for evil, it's just working out in favor. And
I can relate to that so often. And I think too, like a lot of people, if they watch this, actually can relate to the kind of, there's a lot of seasons, right? Like the scriptures, it teaches us that for what we sow, we'll reap.
Yep.
And I find that too often in the moments of sowing, people think that they should be reaping, when in reality, like all they're doing is just building themselves up to then reap, right? In a different season. And especially for me, those moments where you feel like your head is below the water, you're suffocating, you're super lonely, the adversary literally does everything he can to cause you to question your ability to get out of it. And I think that like the only difference between those who end up actually getting out of it and reaping their reward, or the people that do end up actually suffocating, drowning, and have to resort to other things, are the people that take action. Because you think about it, right? Like, I mean, I live my life by design. And if I'm designing this future, nobody's going to do it for me. And even in the scriptures, like the Lord tells us like, hey, I'm here to support you, but we have to do the work ourselves. We can't just basically sit back, right? We say we want this ideal life. We want this, this big business that's super successful. We want the perfect family. We can't just sit back and like expect for that to happen, especially in moments of turmoil.
Yeah, you mentioned boats. Did you ever heard the story about the man who was drowning in the ocean?
What? Yeah, in the Bible?
No. So there's a guy, he's drowning in the ocean. He's like, Lord, please save me.
Right, yeah.
And a boat comes
Peter,
by.
Right?
No. A boat comes. This is just a made-up story.
Oh, okay.
Boat comes by and was like, hey, do you need help? No, the Lord's going to save me. So the boat drives off.
Oh,
Second boat comes up.
Yeah, dude.
Hey, man, do you need help? Nah, I prayed about it. The Lord's going to save me. Well, the third boat came, same thing.
Dude,
the dude ends up drowning, makes it to heaven. And he was like, Lord, why didn't you save me? And the Lord looks at him and said, I sent you 3 boats. Why didn't you answer?
Dude, such a great
and
principle.
So it's yes, we pray for things, but we do need to take action. Faith without action is dead.
100%, dude. Yeah, I find too often people really confuse those things.
Yeah.
They think that, again, going back to the entitlement of what unfortunately our society has become, is they think that people will do it for them, right? Like they have too many people in their life save them, essentially. And I think that the best people, like going back, I mean, the main theme of this obviously is like the story through adversity, I think. It's, hey, in those moments, if you're expecting somebody else to come and save you, you don't have a story to tell at the other side of that. And like, just like you talked about going through all that you've been through, the only thing that truly saved you obviously was God, but it was the action that you put to changing. And I think that principle applies too often outside of business. It's in just our relationships. It's in like our hobbies. It's in the things that we enjoy. If really we want or desire something greater, right? And we manifest it, whatever you want to call it, pray for it, right? We have this big vision for it. If all we do is just sit back and never actually like put our foot forward and work towards that, then it's never going to happen.
Yeah.
And just too many people, like they lose the reality. And that's what I've seen within like, especially this generation, is people want to get rich quick.
Oh yeah.
Like we always see
they want to get rich quick and sell some courses and
exactly.
It's a lot of fraud.
So much
stuff
fraud. It's honestly an attack on like somebody's like integrity.
Yeah.
Like, think about
it.
And
it also kills people who are genuine on there. That like, let's say, you came out there and you're like, hey guys, I've been in the solar business for 6 years. I know how to sell successfully. And you wanted to go out there and genuinely make a course that people could take and learn from and make money off of. I'm going to see your video, and if I don't know who you are, I'm like, it's another guy selling a course, and it's going to just be a big old scam.
Dude, that's what, there's so many people have like the MLM scheme, right?
That's why I haven't started a course. Like, I genuinely want to help these people. And like, if they reach out to me in my DMs, I try and help them, but I've never started a course because I don't want to be known as that guy where people just start spreading rumors saying, oh, he's just trying to make money and scam. Like, no. But I do believe time is money. Totally. So the reason why some of these people who are genuine sell a course is because they're taking the time out of their day. And, you know, let's say, like, I own a clothing business, right? Yep. And you came to me and you're like, hey, like, I'd really love to have your input on how to start a clothing business, whatever. I would charge you not just because I know how to start a clothing business now. But it's not how easy I can start a clothing business for you. It's the years that I spent to get to where I am now.
To understand, like, the knowledge that you
now
have.
I know, okay, what are you wanting? Got it.
Yep.
I now know the connections that I need to give you. I know the blueprint. I know the return on investment. I know what the best prices are. And if a manufacturer tells you X amount per hoodie, I can tell you, no, Cash, that's not correct. They're just trying to upcharge you. So it's more about the experience.
Yeah. I think too, like, the message to anybody, like, honestly looking to, like, get into any specific field, it doesn't have to be door to door. It doesn't even have to be entrepreneurship. Like, whatever you do, you need to find the people that you work with are actually aligned to the right principles and values, 100%. Right? Like, and you can feel that. I think God has given each of us a gift to be able to feel things that are unspoken. And if you're meeting with an individual, like, let's take that guy that is selling that course, right? Everybody should interview anyone that they're willing to either work for or pay, right? To understand what is their motive. What are they doing, right, behind the scenes? Are they doing this for good, or are they doing it to take advantage of others? And I find that, like, especially within my industry, dude, people get swindled all the time, right? They get the carrot on the stick dangled right in front of them from people that actually don't know what they're doing, or they've never done it themselves. And they say, hey, you come work with me, we'll give you this. They bite on that, on that carrot. And then unfortunately, though they had good intentions, their environment now changes and they don't get what they quote unquote were promised. And so I always tell people, like, hey, if you're ever looking to work with anybody, you always got to make sure that you resonate with what those people stand for.
100%.
And I think the same thing applies to anybody, even in social media. Like, what's their message? What are they actually doing? And if it's aligned to who, you stand for and what you want, you should follow those guys.
Yeah.
You should be involved with those guys. And I think that's like where truly you'll find the best relationships, is when people at their core are genuine, they've done what they said they can do, and you actually have that kind of confirmation this is somebody that you should be around or work with. One thing in sales that I think that is really misused is, like, sales is portrayed to be obviously like only a job to convince people to buy something, right? Well, I think in sales, like, it applies to literally every facet of your life. Relationships, your friends, what you're doing outside of work, your hobbies, you're always going to communicate with people. And if you can do that effective, right? You're able to ask the right questions, and you're able to actually help give people a vision of what you're describing. It clearly will give you the life that you want, because between you and what's on the other side of that is really, and I have a quote for this, but it's in your ability to navigate through the problems, but find the solution as fast as you can, right? And so to say that again, it's like, hey, what's stopping between where you're at and where you want to go is navigating the right questions to find the problems and provide the solutions to end up on the other side. And I just think that, like, too often people think that, like for example, me and you are communicating right now, right? There's no motive here. But as you and I, like, you're a great communicator because you and I are able to bounce ideas. We're able to entertain the conversation through questions. And we're also, like, kind of following an unspoken script.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't prepare for this. Like, we literally sat down and started talking. But as you've noticed, like, and I'm sure a lot of people have noticed this, our communication style is truly just being able to, like, give you something to bounce, like, off of, and then you give me something to bounce off of. Have you ever thought about that? Like, sales is in every area of your life.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even with the clothes, clientele is 100% the number one priority. So we actually just opened up a storefront, and we opened up 2 days or a day and a half before Black Friday. And I knew the way to get returning customers is for them to have a great experience. So it's a new store. True. People are like, oh, what's this? They come in. I walk up to them. I greet them. I let them know that they're welcome, to feel like, because there's times where I walk into a store and I feel awkward in there. No one greets me. No, I'm not buying anything in there. Yeah, like I'm getting out of there as quick as possible. So
it's energy thing.
Yeah. So if you treat your customers well, they're going to treat you well in return of buying your product.
100%.
Whether it be, you know, door to door, or if it's a storefront, whatever. I've experienced in multiple different, you know, jobs and revenue that treating your clients well and great communication and great experience with them goes so far.
So far. And you know what I just thought about? Too many people in business, they try to sell the price, right? Whatever they're doing. You know, too many people are like, hey, buy 2 for 1. Or like, I mean, obviously that's important at times, but really what you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to sell the story. Like people buy emotion, right? They don't buy logic 100% of the time. I mean, you have to marry the two, but like too often, like for example, in solar, right? If I just try to help sell this person on like saving money, they're not going to do it because of the money. They're going to do it because what the money can do for them. And so if I can basically design this reality where I say, hey, because you're switching to solar, right? And you are saving $50 a month, but that $50 a month helps create, I guess, more of a budget for your groceries, right? Let's just say that they're struggling like financially that way. And I'm saying, hey, I got you because we're putting $50 more in your budget for groceries. That person now, they understand what this product's gonna do for them regardless of the price. And I think too often, bro, like too many people, especially in like the entrepreneur world, is they're always pushing things down. Buy this course, you know, buy my product. It's on sale. Like get it while you can. But they're not really giving people a vision for what their course, what their brand, what their product's gonna do once I do end up buying it. And I think that like it's just a huge missed opportunity. It really is. And that's one thing like at Kin that I believe we do really, really well is we train our reps to actually like understand the needs of your client. Like you said, walking in that door, you knew that you wanted to give your customers like a great feeling. You didn't want to just promote your brand. Obviously, that's a byproduct of it. But you wanted to give people a warm welcome, something that they can remember your brand to. And I find, dude, the more we design our world, whether that's business, relationships, church, around the feeling and less about like the image, it truly will get a lot more influence. And it really does cultivate a lot more of a following. And that's when you see massive change.
Yeah, and so what I've also experienced over the years with selling, just in general, a great customer experience. When they get that great customer experience, they no longer care about the price.
Oh yeah, dude.
So like,
doesn't matter.
I'll be able to. So there's sometimes like I'm guilty. Like people will walk through the doors and I won't go up to them. And I'm not at my store all the time anymore, but those are the ones that'll complain about my price.
Yeah.
But if I go up and meet them in the store, they don't care anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, oh my gosh, because people don't buy products, they buy from people.
100%. Yep.
If you're a terrible salesman but have a great product, you're not going to sell.
Dude, yeah. So true.
But you could be a mediocre salesman and sell an amazing product.
100% you can. Dude, I remember like in the very beginning of my door-to-door career, I had no idea what I was doing. But you know what I did know how to do? I knew how to actually connect with people. And like really what I would do is like I would go out and I would understand like, cool, okay, like the net metering program, kind of like we talked about, it can do this for the customer. But really I would always start out by asking, hey, like I would compliment them. Hey, you have a beautiful house, right? Or hey, I really love the way that you've designed your yard. And I had to be genuine with that. I wasn't BSing anybody. But what that did is it gave people this like association that I wasn't there just to like make a sell, that I actually cared about the person I was talking to. And I think too often, dude, like people starting out, they get confused. They think, oh man, like I got to know all the right words. I got to know all the right like buzz phrases. I got to know all of the right door approaches in order to get this sell or to, even outside of door to door, but like to build this brand, when all you got to do is just be like genuinely like 100% authentic to yourself.
So I actually preach that to my employees.
Yeah.
What I've noticed, my door's been knocked on and salesmen try and get me on a window cleaning business or I've home security or grass mowing or whatever it is. And what I've noticed is the genuineness is not there. They're so quick. You can their tone I don't know. I can tell if it's just a kid in my neighborhood versus a salesman just by their tone of their voice and how they're so quick to get to their pitch.
Yeah.
It's like, you didn't ask me how my day was. You didn't ask me, how long I've lived here. Or anything like, and so I tell my employees, like, I don't want them saying the same things over and over again and all this stuff. I tell them to talk to them like they're meeting them for the first time. Like, dude, have a conversation. Hey, how are you?
Get to know them.
Where are you from? You know, because I live in a tourist area most part of the year. So ask them where they're from.
Dude, people love talking about themselves.
Yeah, and so, you can sit there, and as you're ringing them up, they don't have to be awkward moment of silence. You can be like, where are you from? What's it like over there? Is there like a lot of stuff to do? What brings you down here? Like, you on vacation? There's plenty of stuff to talk about, and when that person leaves, and like, let's say they weren't out of towner, the next time that they come back into town, they're going to stop by your store.
100%. Yep. And I want to go back to, you talked about tonality. It really is.
The salesman's tones are awful, man.
Bro, it's so bad. Like, literally 90% of the people that I have come through my program, the biggest separator between them and the next guy that's knocking on the same exact door is only associated to how they present themselves and their tone. And
it's like there's no personality.
There's no personality there, because guess what? 93% of communication is all through tonality and body language.
Oh, 100%.
7% is associated to the words.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, if you can actually and so we have something called uptone and downtone. Typically when people are trying to sell something, right, they're in an uptone state because they're basically making it about them and about the product and about the words. But if you can display confidence through genuinely trying to help your customer, literally all they can feel is that you care. And that you actually are there to help them. And dude, too many people get that wrong.
I think there needs to be, you have a script and you have a pitch.
You have to,
but you have to.
You have to.
But every single interaction with a different person needs to be different.
Customizable.
Same concept, but just different. It doesn't need to be the same, like, hi, my name is KB Blackwell, and I'm here to sell you this, and this is why you should buy it, because it'll save you this. No.
Dude, nobody cares.
Like, hey, so are you experiencing, a power bill that's continuing to go up and all this other stuff? Well, if you're like me, you kind of be fed up with the government always wanting more and more. And you build that personal relationship like, hey, I'm in the same boat as you. I see my bill going up. I want to do everything that I can to save money. Here's a solution for it.
Dude, that's why we work so well, I think, is because, I don't know if you feel this way, but ever since we met, I feel like it's been super easy to just chat and, connect. And I think it's because we share a lot of the same, standards and values. One of those being that you're able to really, look at a person as a person. Rather than an object. Yeah. And I think too often, too many people, whether that's in sales, friendship, church, they view others as just an object rather than a person. And they don't end up actually wanting to get to know them, because all they care about is getting what they want. And like the guy that's knocking on your door, you can obviously feel the only thing he cares about is getting that sale, making that money. If you led with what you just said, which is, hey, dude, how's your day going? How long you lived here? And you sell the story, you did it really good, dude. You talked about hey, I'm experiencing the same thing. I pay this power company, dude, they rip us off. Oh, yeah. Right? And you're able to level with them and give them that kind of emotional security that you're on their side. That goes back to the same principle. It's you and me against the problem instead of you against me.
Yeah. Another thing, the pitch that I hate hearing more than anything I've ever heard in my life is, so we do a couple other people in the neighborhood, and I don't care. Why does that make me want to buy? Just because my neighbor, who I see, coming home and has all these bills and buys all these toys, who just rags up this huge bill, why do I want what they got?
Dude, that's so true.
So don't come to my house telling me what everybody else in my neighborhood is doing. Tell me what you can do for me.
That's
sell me on what you can do to help me.
Well, that's because what do we want? We want to know what they can do for us specifically. And if it doesn't serve us, it's well, dude, sounds great, but I'm not interested.
And then there's always the rush too. If you sign up today, because we're doing this many people in the neighborhood, we'll cut $40. Cool. Yeah, dude. $40 really isn't going to hurt me if it's going to save me X amount in the future.
Bro, yeah, dude.
I'm going to take that $40. That $40 is going to be my thought process that I'm going to sleep on. And I will be willing to pay you the $40 if I end up deciding to, end up actually buying into it.
That's why price never matters, because at the end of the day, people buy what you can do for them and how it's going to impact them, and the trustworthiness, the credibility, right? That's what really people want. They want a security. That's what everyone wants in life, is they want to feel secure. They want to understand that hey, if I'm working with KB, right, and if I'm buying your brand, the let's just say I'm rocking around downtown. I want to know that this brand gives me security, that I'm different. Like, it gives me this feeling that I'm standing for something good.
Yeah.
Right? And if I know that, I could care less, because the moment somebody sees me wearing this brand and I'm the different, like, you know, lone wolf, like I'm standing out of the crowd, automatically that's going to give me a sense of pride. That's going to give me a sense of like brand association, that now if your hoodies cost 30, 40, 50 bucks more than cost, you know, X other company, I'm going to go with you because of what that brand awareness is going to give me.
Yeah.
You know, and like that's a huge concept that people miss. Let's go, dude. That was great.